I work as an ER nurse, and there was an elderly woman brought in by ambulance teetering on the edge of death. She had a "do not resuscitate" DNR order, meaning we weren't planning on intervening much. Sadly, there were no relatives we could locate, and since the hospital was overcrowded, we had no choice but to keep her in the ER for the night. She was truly on the brink of passing away. Having witnessed numerous deaths, you become adept at recognizing when someone is near the end. This lady was barely responsive, pale, cool to the touch, with irregular breaths and a fluctuating heart rate. We dimmed the lights and vigilantly monitored her, essentially preparing for the inevitable. An hour later, to our astonishment, she was standing at the door of her room. Somehow she had managed to get up and dress herself. Our collective reaction was a bewildered WTF. One of the nurses approached her to inquire, and she casually mentioned that she was hungry. Confused, but wanting to accommodate her, we set up a chair, a bedside table, and fetched her a tray of food from the cafeteria. She sat there, consumed all her food, engaged in conversation with the staff. After about an hour, she expressed fatigue and said she wanted to lie back down. We assisted her back into bed, and astonishingly, within 30 minutes, she passed away. Not exactly a paranormal experience, but in my 22 years working in bustling inner-city ERs, it's the most bizarre occurrence I've ever encountered. I used to be employed at a skilled nursing facility, predominantly assigned to the Alzheimer's ward. One evening, while in the linen room restocking my cart, I distinctly heard shuffling footsteps behind me, accompanied by the sensation of a hand on my shoulder. Upon turning around, I discovered the room empty and the door remained closed. In a similar vein, another resident consistently complained about a man entering her room at night. Bearing in mind the nature of Alzheimer's, I initially dismissed it. To ease her worries, I assured her that I would check on her throughout the night. For 2 more weeks, she persistently lamented the presence of this mysterious man. It wasn't until I asked her to describe him that things took a disquieting turn. According to her, he was remarkably handsome and dressed in a black suit. Her next revelation sent shivers down my spine. "Oh, he's right behind you now, honey." Unnerved, I glanced behind me, finding no one there. Tragically, she passed away the following night in her sleep. During a brief stint as an EMT, I specialized in patient transfers. One regular client was an elderly woman I frequently transported to a dialysis center across town. On one occasion, while accompanying her in the back during a transfer, I noticed she appeared unwell. Concerned, I inquired about her condition, and she disclosed an unsettling detail. A man in purple had been visiting her. When I asked if he was a relative or a technician, she shook her head, describing how he would sit beside her during dialysis and gently stroke her hair. Perplexed by this revelation, I questioned the dialysis center technicians about the mysterious man. To my surprise, none of them had seen or recalled such an individual. Given that visitors were uncommon at this center, I initially dismissed it as a figment of the patient's imagination. However, the eerie turn of events occurred when we were en route to pick her up one day. As we entered the parking lot, I peered through the window and witnessed something that sent a chilling shiver down my spine. It was as if I immediately recognized it. A man in purple scrubs, standing in one of the large windows, watching us drive in. Upon reaching the pickup door, we were met with a startling sight. Several technicians were urgently attending to my transfer patient. Sadly, she had suffered a heart attack, and despite our efforts and subsequent hospital care, she couldn't be revived. What made it even more unnerving was that none of the technicians at the center wore purple scrubs.